Fall is all about cozy comforts, and with Hero Bread, you can enjoy all your favorites and still hit your health goals. From breakfast bagels and meal prepped enchiladas to mouth-watering burgers and cheesy noodles. You won't believe Hero Bread's options have 0 to 5 grams net carbs and are high fiber from the taste and texture. And right now, Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use code FALL25 at checkout. That's FALL25 at hero.co. All figures are per serving of Hero Bread. Contains 2 to 18 grams of fat per serving. See the product nutrition panels on hero.co for more information.
Well, welcome to Black Men Speak, a podcast that highlights ordinary Black men doing extraordinary things. I am your host, Keith Dent, and today was the 53rd running of the New York City Marathon. I don't know if anybody watched, but in the professionals, Helen Obiri, who was also the 2023 winner, finished the race in 2 hours and 19 minutes and 51 seconds. Shattering the old mark of 2 hours, 22 minutes, 31 seconds, set by Margaret Okayo in 2003. And Vincent Kipruto beat Alexander Mutiso. They were both Kenyans to the tape of 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 9 seconds. And he won by 16 tenths of a second. It's the closest men's finish ever. So to kind of break it down, the estimated steps in the New York City Marathon is probably about 50 to 60,000 steps. The New York City Marathon is 26.2 miles, or kilometers is your thing, 42.195 kilometers. The average person's stride length is 2.2 to 2.5 steps for women, 2.5 to 3 steps for men. So it averages, about 55,000 steps. So that what makes the feat of our next guest even more extraordinary. So in April 2025, Kwame Terra became known as a big stepper when he set an unofficial world record by walking 2 million steps in 30 days. So that's averaging 66,667 steps daily. So it's about 35 miles per day. So, and now he didn't just do it just for the record. He really wanted to raise awareness, health disparities in Black communities, and raise $2 million to support the development of his company called Bear Health, which was an app which also had related programs to go along with it. So Kwame Terra is the founder and CEO of Bear Health Systems. It's a health tech company working to close the life expectancy gap in communities through innovation, culture, and collective action. Kwame is an alumnus of Xavier University of Louisiana, where he studied biology and public health with a concentration in health equity. And he also earned his master's of public health as well. Founded in 2021, the platform is dedicated to promoting healthy aging among Black Americans by offering medical, lifestyle, and social solutions. The company has an app, Balance by Bear Health, provides users with a health score between 0 and 1,000, representing their overall health. Also provides personalized recommendations, an AI coach, and connections to culturally competent healthcare providers. Now, Kwame has participated in accelerator programs to promote this app, including Harvard iLabs, Idea Fuel, Black Ambitions Pre-Accelerator Program, the HBCU Founders Initiative. So he considers this his life mission to create and invest in companies that work towards reducing suffering in the world by breaking down the barriers of basic human needs. So Kwame, welcome to the show. How are you doing? How are you doing today?
Doing well. I appreciate the applause.
No, of course. So let's kind of just get this out of the way right away. You walked 2 million steps in 30 days.
Yeah.
So really, 15 days in, what was going through your mind as you embarked on this journey?
15 days in, I was, I felt like I could do it. I was actually ahead of pace. Had been ahead of pace for a few days at that point. And, I was like, well, if I had gone this long, well, I can probably continue. I mean, there were definitely some days where I was like, man, this is going to take a lot longer than I thought. It's taking a lot more, energy than I thought. I just can't keep walking. Like I need to sit down. Like anytime that I would sit down at the halfway mark, if I'd sit down for longer than, I don't know, 30 minutes, my body would start to shut down and go to sleep. So, not only was I feeling tired and thinking I was tired, but my body was involuntarily putting me to rest anytime I sat down for an extended period of time. So it was definitely a test of perseverance, test of, mind over matter, if you will. And yeah, glad I was able to do it. At that point, I was also dealing with some pain in my Achilles. I had been training. Wow. I've been training for a 10K. That was actually going to be happening on the 19th, but the Thursday before, 2 Thursdays before the race on the 19th, I was just kind of doing like a cool down jog, and then all of a sudden my left Achilles started tightening up, and that's not something that you really want to play with at all.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And so on the 15th day, I was probably mostly just concerned about my Achilles because I could walk with no pain, but I couldn't jog without 10 out of 10 pain. And I'm talking about just like a baby jog. You know how like when you feel immobilized by an injury, you look and you see other people doing basic things like a jog or like moving their arm a certain way. And you're like, well, how are they doing that? Like that's the point that it had got to for me. So that's kind of where I was at the halfway point. But again, I was ahead of pace. I was able to continue walking with no pain, and so it felt okay.
And on average, how many hours a day did you spend? I guess and I would assume from what you're telling me, you were walking and running. So how many hours a day actually?
Yeah, mostly walking. I ran the 10K and maybe like 4 or 5 additional miles outside of that. But other than that, out of the 900 miles, 885, 86 of them were walking. And so I was moving about, I mean, maybe we can do the math in the other direction. I was sleeping about 6 hours a day. And then I could only be seated throughout the day, like when I'm awake, for about 3 hours per day.
The name Bear, which of course is a play on the word bear, but it also stands for the Black Electronic Health Record. So walk us through how you landed on that name and what does it represent for the community you're trying to serve?
Yeah. So I came up with the name during the COVID-19 pandemic, where just like everyone else, I just wanted to do something so that next pandemic or next challenge that we face in the Black community, we're in better health to have a better outcome. And my first thought was that we don't know how bad we're doing as it relates to our health in the Black community, right? We know we're not doing our best. We know where we could improve, but we aren't clear on the short and long-term implications of our current health status, both on us as individuals and the impact that has on our family and ultimately our community at large. So I wanted to help people see that, awareness is where we start when it comes to making change. And so I just wanted to come up with a way to clearly communicate to the Black community our current health status. 60% of us have low health literacy. Most of us don't. Again, understand that the short and long-term implications of our current health status, if we know our health status at all. And so that's where I came up with the idea of the health score. So the health score is a number between 0 and 1,000 that represents your overall health. And I didn't want to just give people a health score and then they kind of go about their day, right? Or maybe send them a piece of content on what to do based on their score. I wanted them to see how their day-to-day life affects that score and their overall health risks. And so found a company to partner with to roll out that technology. And through the app, not only do we help people see their individual health scores, but we essentially are creating a living real-time record of an individual's health. So see how many steps a person is taking every day and the number of calories a person is burning per day, what their resting heart rate is on average per day. And when you put all of it together with everyone in our community, all of the users on our platform, you get what we call the Black Electronic Health Record, again, which is a real-time database of all of our user health insights that we use to inform and drive health interventions in Black communities. So you'll see the average health score in the city of New Orleans. There is the average health score in the city of Houston, Chicago, so on and so forth, or this zip code in Chicago, or this zip code in New York. And we'll be able to identify where Black people are doing well and where we are not, and be able to learn from those that are doing well and apply those learnings to where we're not doing as well. And so you can imagine, when the record is fully realized, we just kind of sit back and watch trends that emerge as it relates to health in our community, influenced by a variety of factors, right? So let's say one community is not walking as much as they should. We'll go and talk to that community and find out what's going on. Instead of just assuming that those people in that community don't want to walk, like, let's go evaluate their community. Let's go see what the infrastructure looks like. Let's go see what social or political things are happening in that community in that particular period where the trends were down, and see if that's having an effect. But it's really being able to identify problems in real time and then roll out interventions and tailored community-centered interventions in real time, and then evaluate the impact of them as well. And so we roll out, let's say it just was the case that people in that community were being lazy that month. So then we curate a challenge to get people moving. And then we evaluate the total step data or the movement data the next month to see if that particular challenge worked. And then how do we get people to sustain with that? So yeah, the Black Electronic Health Record is my attempt to build a system, not just a tool, that we can measure and improve health in the Black community.
Well, it's pretty fascinating. You said that you saw that we weren't doing well. So was that based on, I guess, your research in your master's program, or just really did you kind of just by basic observation?
I studied pre-med at Xavier. We didn't do too much, I don't think I got too much education as a pre-med student on health disparities, but those things started to become clear to me. Certain films were powerful for that as well. Things like What the Health, and that spoke to some of the disparities and the effects of animal agriculture on Black communities, just from growing and raising this food that's actually not even any good for us. So I learned about a few things in that sense, but it was really COVID, that really brought it to everyone's awareness. And I didn't earn my master's in public health until after I came up with the idea. So had the idea in summer of 2020, and then the fall of 2020, I enrolled into my master's program, and then completed that health equity MPH over the course of 2 years, and basically took everything that I learned from there and incorporated it into, my understanding of the problem and what I believed would be the best way to develop a solution.
Okay. Mm-hmm. But it almost seems like COVID was a calling where it was almost like now you created this as your life's work. Why was it the fact that COVID made it so important that you do this?
Yeah. I mean, it was a traumatic moment, and trauma can create change and inspire, innovation. I think that this is, in a sense, what that was. My aunt, actually, who was a physician's assistant, she was working during COVID. And so she had actually texted me one day and said, "Hey, nephew, I think this would be a great time for you to kick off your healthy eating initiative again, focusing primarily in the Black community, but people in general, because most of the people who are experiencing severe illnesses with COVID are people who have comorbidities, right? These conditions that weaken the body's defense system, so that when you are faced with something like COVID or another virus, you're just not as prepared to handle it." And so that's what she shared with me via text message, and then this is more or less what I came up with.
Oh, nice. So prior to the app, you had a healthy eating initiative.
You could say that. I'm vegan, and so my family.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, wow.
That is advocacy in and of itself.
Uh-huh.
And so I would talk about that and talk to my mom about it. And I did host a screening of a documentary in 2017. I hosted a screening of What the Health in Houston. Yeah. So, I mean, I wouldn't say I had a whole initiative per se, but, that's just how people perceive things.
Wow. And I know this may be off topic, but is there vegan? Is there a vegan gumbo?
It's funny you asked that. There was actually a vegan gumbo cook-off earlier this year or at the end of last year.
Okay.
Here in New Orleans. And honestly, I was disappointed.
I'm sure.
And I'm pretty open-minded when it comes to at least trying things.
Okay.
I want to try as many things as I can to find out what would be the thing to get someone to try, to get them to open up to the idea of eating a plant-based diet or something like that. But yeah, most of those gumbos failed, unfortunately. And I'm sharing this not to talk bad about them, but to inspire them to go back to the drawing board and make it better. But yeah, there is vegan gumbo. The thing about gumbo is actually, I was debating some friends on this when I told them I was going to the vegan gumbo cook-off. Yeah, again, I'm in New Orleans, and veganism in New Orleans are kind of antithetical to one another, and so
almost.
And so my friends, were making fun of me about it and whatnot, and so now I'm doing research because I don't like to. I just like to know the root of things, and so it turns out that gumbo is really based on okra.
Yes,
right? I don't know if you are aware of that, and I don't remember exactly what the research showed me, but the original gumbo didn't have shrimp and sausage and of the variety of things that people decide to put in their gumbo. It really simply means okra based in a sense. And
okay. Wow. I knew okra was a mainstay, but not the fact that it wasn't add all the other stuff. Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So, haters will say it's not, but it's all
right. Yeah. Wow. Well, I'm glad to hear that vegan gumbo, they just hadn't gotten it right yet because
they haven't gotten it right yet.
Gotcha. You're a cross country runner at Xavier, and I guess we want to say a record-breaking endurance athlete. So how has the relationship with your own body informed how you think about Black health more broadly?
I think that I haven't had to deal with most of the challenges that people are dealing with in what I'm trying to help people with. I've been, I would say, pretty in tune with my body since I was younger, because as a runner in particular, you're present with your body for a long time and it's constant, right? Other sports, right? Obviously there's a lot of skill involved in things like baseball, football, and you have to have a certain relationship with your body to trust it to, do things that aren't necessarily natural movements, to make a play or what have you. Or with running, it's a pretty consistent movement, obviously. And so you get a lot of time with yourself. Each step is a moment, if you will. And over time, you start to, fall into these meditative states sometimes, depending on how long the run is. Some people call it runner's high.
Right.
And so you just get a lot of time with your body where that's all you're paying attention to. I don't run with music. We weren't allowed to compete with music, so I never really trained with music. So I'm getting these 45-minute sessions when I'm moving my body, or hour and a half session running where I'm moving my body, and all I can hear is my breath and my feet hitting the ground and the wind blowing and cars going by, so on and so forth. Or talking with a friend if I'm on the run with somebody. So, I mean, my relationship with my body was, I think, strengthened by that. And so that started to make me more aware of how my body felt or responded to certain things that I put inside of it. And so that, I think, was the beginning of my awareness for what I should and shouldn't be putting in my body when I was a college athlete. But yeah, it's absolutely helped me, one, to ultimately just be more disciplined with my with every aspect of my life, because endurance running is about enduring, and if you can endure, you can choose your life in a sense.
So your rhythm is basically your feet touching the ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
And depending on what your objective is for running, you know, if you want to try to avoid doing things that you don't like while doing something that you do like. So, for example, listening to music while running. Like, some people don't like running and they need the music to stay motivated, so on and so forth. But I forget what I was reading. We do this often, even like if we're trying to do homework, we might put the TV on, or do some home, do a variety that we don't like. We might put something else on to distract us, but you're missing out on an opportunity to strengthen your will, and your will is your most valuable resource. And so, if you could avoid listening to music while you run, because it'll not only again strengthen your willpower, but it'll also just help you get a bit more connected to your body and become a better runner, so that you can just be more aware of how your foot's landing and how your breathing pattern is. Because when people are listening to music, you don't hear your breathing, but when you're running without it, you can hear your breathing and start to be a little bit more intentional about how you're breathing, so on and so forth. Just so you just get better feedback.
So I think, our November is Men's Health Month, I think. Yes. And so talk to us about culturally competent care. What does that actually mean for us in our community, especially for Black men? And why is it so critical for closing the life expectancy gap?
Yeah. Yes. And so just to define the life expectancy gap for those who don't know, the average life expectancy in the Black community is 72 years. The average life expectancy in the rest of the population is 78 years. So that's a 6-year life expectancy gap.
Yeah, that's big.
It's huge. And to some people, that might not sound like a lot. If you live 72 years, what's another 6? However, when you extrapolate that across the entire Black population, there's 50 million of us. Over time, we lose about 268 million years of time. We're on track right now to lose about 268 million years of time of life in the Black community. That's a lot.
That's a lot when you put it that way. Yeah.
And you got to think about, obviously, time is our most valuable resource. The compounding effect of time as well, right? Because it's not just hour for hour when you are investing, or when you're investing into your family, investing into your children, passing down wisdom. These things compound. So it's not just 268 million years. It's whatever 268 million years plus the compounding effect of that time is what we're missing out as a community. And not that there's a competition between races, but how are we to keep up? How are we to progress at the same rate, on the same levels, when we're working with 268 million years of fewer time or less time?
And I don't know, but I'm sure you, the expert, has that changed over time? Has it gone up, or is it pretty much stayed the same throughout, let's say, the last 20 years?
Last 20 years, it's I don't want to say something that's not necessarily true. It's widening right now. So that time is getting greater right now. But everyone is getting unhealthier. But since everyone is getting unhealthier, we get it a little bit worse, right, than everyone else, right? The knock.
Okay, so for the most part, naturally, everyone is getting unhealthier. Wow, that's amazing.
That widens the disparity on our end too, because we get the worst of it.
I'm very surprised by that. I would have thought, especially since there's so much more access to. There's so much more knowledge now, and that we have so much more opportunities to do healthy things. I mean, because our access to the internet to see different things are much greater. So I would think it would have been better. I didn't think it would have been worse. At least not across the board.
Yeah, I mean, it's things like hypertension, type 2 diabetes, many cancers. So our bodies we have 2 types of aging. We have biological aging and chronological aging. Your chronological age is the number of years that you've been alive. But your biological age is the rate at which your body is essentially degrading or losing function. And the thing about your biological age is that the rate of that aging can be accelerated or slowed down depending on how you live your life. And so, despite the advancements in medicine, for example, and even the access to health promoting lifestyles, on the whole, we're aging faster, right? So you may have a 45-year-old with the wear and tear on their heart of a 65 or 70-year-old because of their experience, because of their diet, because of their inactivity, because of their stress.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see someone have a heart attack at 45 and you're like, oh, they were so young. Like, how could that happen to them?
Right.
Well, while they were chronologically 45, they were biologically 68. And sometimes it just takes a moment, the right mix of stress and wear and tear from over time. And then, a stressful event happens and then you have a heart attack. And that could be it. It doesn't always end when someone has a heart attack, but.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you happen to see, since we're on that, the biological life expectancy, but Dr. Peter Attia, who was on 60 Minutes last week, and he kind of talked about the same thing, and all of the different types of programs he's trying to put people through. What did you? I don't know if you saw it. What did you think about that? And is that the kind of the new wave, or was that just kind of, you always hear about all these different, the different commercial things to get people going, but I don't know what you thought about it.
Yeah, so I didn't see it, but I'm very familiar with Peter Attia. Most of his stuff is solid, from as far as I can tell. Him, Dr. Andrew Huberman, Dr. David Sinclair. These guys are really studying the rate of aging, and they look at aging in a sense as a disease, not just something that has to happen in life. Because a lot of these conditions like hypertension, type 2 diabetes, and some cancers often are the result of either age-related diseases. And so if you can slow down or stop aging, you can slow down or the rate of development or the likelihood of development of some of these conditions. And so a lot of these guys have moved past the process of, okay, how do we prevent and deal with these conditions, and how do we extend lifespan? How do we extend health span? Mm-hmm. This has become their focus. And the only thing that is left is just the concept of aging in general, right after you deal with the diseases that accelerate it. And so, yeah, typically they do pretty well. The information that they share is pretty spot on. I don't know what programming specifically he was talking about on 60 Minutes yesterday, but from what I understand, it's like strength training and aerobic training. Those are the two most important things for your longevity. The relationship between your VO2 max, or basically like your lung capacity, and your longevity is the strongest relationships that's out there. So better figure out how to do some cardio, right?
Gotcha. Okay, great. So your app gives people a health score between 0 and 1,000. How do you balance giving people honest feedback about their health without them, I guess, feeling hopeless or defeated? Because I guess you're south of, I guess, the 500 score, or you're not going to be too happy with how things are going. So how does your, what are some of the programs or things that you do to help people, I guess, feel like it's not necessarily a death sentence, but they can do things that they can then to improve?
So, I mean, it depends on the person. Mm-hmm. However, again, we are aware that we're not doing our best. Most of us are aware of, how much effort we're putting into making sure that we're healthy. And so what the score does is it doesn't necessarily tell you something that you didn't know, but it makes it clear to you what it is, and which makes it a bit more real for you. Health is abstract. To say how healthy am I? Like if I were to ask you how healthy are you, what would you say? right? That's not an easy thing to answer exactly. And so that the score puts it into perspective. It simplifies the complexity of health into a single number that everyone can understand. And I understand that if my number is below this mark, that it's not good. And if it's above this mark, that means that I'm doing good. And that's explained within the app. So I think when people see their scores, they take a moment to reflect on their daily life, right? A friend of mine downloaded the app, completed their initial health score assessment, and they got a score of like 300 and something in nutrition. And when they saw that, they gasped, right? They kind of screamed and gasped.
Oh, really?
A visceral reaction, right? That wasn't their reaction when they looked at their diet log from the 2 weeks before, right? Like, I'm not saying that they did, but like if they had looked at everything that they ate over the past 2 weeks, they might not have had the same responses as they did when they saw that number. So there's something about the number that helps make it a bit more real. And so then she started changing her diet over the next couple of weeks. And then she started noticing changes in her body, right? She started feeling better, having more energy. She stopped going to Chick-fil-A every day. She started noticing her bowel movements were smoother. And so then now that process was basically, we made her aware of her current health status based on the answers that she submitted in the nutrition section. And then she made a change and she got a result. And so that's ultimately what we're trying to do. So she was offended for sure. Right. But then we make them aware of, like, here's what you can do to improve.
Interesting. Right.
Yeah.
So a couple things. She was the fact that she was offended, even though in the back of her mind she knew what she was doing. That's one. But two, also the number is not a finite thing. All it's really saying is that, okay, this is where you are. If you want to get to a certain number of what's healthy, you just have to make changes.
That's right. And then as you make those changes, your score changes in real time. So if you go on a run or a walk one day, your score is going to go up a few points. And if you get 3 hours of sleep one night, your score is going to go down. Right.
And so the people that you've interacted with, do you find that they just ultimately don't want to make changes, or they're just shocked by the fact that how they're living is not necessarily healthy?
I think that there is a bit of the latter sometimes. Like I do think that some of us are completely unaware of the fact that there's anything wrong with how we're living, particularly because it's so normalized, right? The behaviors and the lifestyles are normalized, right? To eat fried food every day, to eat, burgers and fries and stuff like that every day. And then the diseases are also normalized in our families, right? So hypertension, my mom's got I'm not saying my mom, I'm just saying, well, they're like, my mom's got hypertension, my brother got hypertension, my grandfather got hypertension. And so it's not seen as much as a problem because it's so common.
Mm-hmm.
But just because something is common doesn't mean that it's normal. And that's what we try to help people understand as well, right? Just because something is common doesn't mean that it's normal. So I think that what we are up against sometimes is people seeing their score and comparing that to their surroundings and being like, oh, well, I mean, okay. And so there's some of that. I don't know I couldn't tell you exactly how much of that there is, but
right.
Yeah, I think when people typically see their score and want to make change, the challenge isn't helping people understand that they need to make change. It's just creating a system for them to seamlessly make that change.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our job.
Right.
That's literally the solution that we're developing as a company. Our goal is.
Well, I think it sounds fantastic because
First and foremost, by understanding the status and the problem that each individual has, and then talking to as many people as we can that are dealing with those problems, and then testing as many solutions to solve those problems as we possibly can. That's what will ultimately make us the best solution. Not because we have some stroke of genius or some great concept or idea. It's just that we talk to more people with the problem than anyone else, and we test more solutions to solve that problem than anyone else.
Right. Absolutely. And so you've participated or brought your business to multiple accelerator programs. So what are some of the, and I worked with entrepreneurs myself, startup entrepreneurs. What are the things that you learned in the accelerator programs that you participated in?
Yeah, I've learned so much in these programs. I'm so glad that I focused on applying to these programs for the first really 2 years of the business. My business model for the first 2 years was applying to startup incubator and accelerator programs. We brought in probably about $250K in our first 2 years through these programs. Through some of them were investments, some of them were grants, probably about half and half. So we haven't had to give up too much of the company in the process, but it just came with like wraparound support, right? So not only do you get access to a little bit of capital, you get a mentor for several months, you get access to a network, and you just get to avoid so many of the bumps in the roads that come with that come with being a startup founder, first time founder, for example. And yeah, I'm just fortunate because I also have been listening. This is when I started Bear Health. I knew it was something that I wanted to do for the long term, and so I didn't want to be in a rush to get to the destination. I wanted to become the best process in a sense, and that's a slow development, and it requires you immersing yourself in environments that help you develop. I mean, that's what an incubator is, right? Like you're broken up, and then you come out, in a new form. And yeah, I've done about 12 of these programs.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot
in 2 years. And when people meet me, like investors, or I'm at a networking event, or another incubator, a lot of them say that it seems like I'm on my like third or fourth startup, but this is my first startup. Just the way that I once speak about my business, my attitude toward progress and change, and how I pivot, and all of this. Again, I've just been educated rapidly through these programs, and so as a result,
Right. And you felt that was the better way to go than just going out, I guess, Silicon Valley and trying to get the seed money that way?
Yeah, I think it was the right thing. And because on some level, my exit strategy hasn't always been clear. Wasn't sure what the ultimate play was with the business, right? And this is a very mission-focused business, and I care about the outcome here beyond the financial opportunity for me.
Right.
When it comes to Silicon Valley, seed investors, there's really one priority. Even if they're an impact investor, there's two priorities there, but the priority of financial opportunity and impact investors is equal to that of the financial, or the focus of a financial opportunity of traditional investors. It's just impact investors want to invest in companies that are also doing good while they make money. So I didn't want to be pressured in that way by traditional investors, because I didn't want to, at some point later on, feel like I had to make a decision for the company that was in the best interest of the business, and that may put the mission at risk. And so if I had it my way, right, I would own and control most, if not all, of the business forever, and avoid necessarily having to deal with the pressures of producing financial return for large investors, and putting the integrity of the mission at risk. So I've had to scrap and bootstrap, along.
Right.
And I think that led to this process taking a bit longer. It took us about 3 years to get our technology to the point that it is now. Not that we haven't had incredible support, but it's been on our terms, or at least better terms than if we would have, taken on investment from day one. And sure, we would have got our technology out there quicker probably, but I wouldn't have learned as much as a founder, for one, if I got a quick check. Because
Okay.
Beta programs.
Right. And that's important. That's very important, to learn about the business, learn the insides and outs, get advice, as opposed to just, getting the money, because that may not necessarily, you're under a time clock once that happens. So
Yeah.
I completely understand that. So now you're based in New Orleans. Right now, I guess currently the app is more regional. Is that correct?
So our beta app was regional. So our development partner allowed us to use their beta app for about a year and a half, to get some traction, and enough traction to raise some money and at least inspire some potential partners.
Okay.
That we had something here.
Okay.
So we just released our official app on Thursday in the App Store. It's not live in the Google Play Store, although by the time this episode is released, it should be.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's been a good experience overall.
Okay. So yeah, I mentioned that because you're in the city with just a deep culture and history and deep health disparities, and you've had the tragedy of Hurricane Katrina. So how has the city influenced your approach to how you do your work?
So I think New Orleans is such a unique place to be starting a health tech startup. So if you look at the vision of our company, it's to place health at the center of how we live, learn, work, play, and celebrate in the Black community. We celebrate a lot here.
That you do. That you do. I know there's parades, every day almost.
There's a festival for everything. We have a fried chicken festival. It was in October.
Oh, snap. Really? Fried chicken festival? That must be fantastic. Well, yeah. You wouldn't really know, but
yeah, no. So we have a festival for everything, and most of it is related to drinking and eating food that's not good for you, but good for the soul, though.
Yes.
So we launched our app in New Orleans with the Mardi Gras Steps Challenge. So
okay.
Let's break this down a little bit, right? So obviously Mardi Gras is a celebration. It's a party. How do we place health at the center or as a part of a celebration or a party? People are already walking a lot during Mardi Gras.
Right.
Average person, if they're kind of really out there, they're doing 20,000 steps a day when they go out on a Mardi Gras day, 27, 30,000 steps. And so, since people are already walking a lot, what if we layer on a challenge where people can have an opportunity with some of the steps that they're taking? So the Mardi Gras Steps Challenge was an opportunity where whoever takes the most steps on our app during Mardi Gras weekend really won $5,000. And so about 115 or so people joined the challenge, and people were walking all over the city. The person that got first place did about 60,000 steps a day for 5 days to win.
Wow. Okay.
And the coolest part about it was that there were people from a variety of backgrounds. Like the top 10 was half women, half men, cancer survivor.
Oh, nice.
What I really loved about that challenge was the diversity in the top 10, because it really spoke to the accessibility of the challenge overall. All right. It wasn't just a bunch of former athletes who were, just in there and trying to just dominate people. And there were athletes in there, but some of the athletes got beat by,
regular folks.
Yep. And so that was just really, really cool and encouraging to see. And then also the feedback that we got, in addition to the opportunity to win some money, was just obviously the camaraderie between the people in the challenge, the mental health benefits that people got from the experience, and just walking throughout the city and learning how walkable the city was. Because again, they're obviously taking a lot of steps from just general walking around Mardi Gras, but they're also taking additional steps. Instead of, driving to this parking spot and then walking to the parade, let me just walk from my house to the parade. Right. So again, now they see a little bit more of the city. And that's how you, again, kind of seamlessly integrate these things into the culture. Last year we did a calorie burn challenge after you eat fried chicken all weekend, and then during the week we do a calorie burn challenge, see if we can burn some of those calories off. And there's some prize money after that. So different things like that. And we start off with the prize money, but our ultimate goal is just to kind of get people to want to do these things just for the sake of doing this thing for the betterment of their own health. And so we're moving away from the prizes and things like that from time to time. Although we did just give away 2 tickets to Super Bowl 59 at the beginning of this year.
Man, yeah. Oh, yeah. I would have been in that one.
Yeah, good challenges really help to, again, just make people feel like it's an experience, not a chore to improve your health.
Yeah. Challenges are great because I think we need more of the competitive spirit. We have it when we're kids, and then just when we're adults, we lose that sense of competing as not just to win prizes, but just as a fun and as a community type thing. Yeah. So what will success look like in 5 years?
5 years. Again, so we're building the Black electronic health record, real-time database of health insights and really the diaspora. I think success in 5 years is that we're live in every country, for one, and people are joining a record of our collective health and progress, because health is a measure of social progress too, right? Health outcomes, because most health disparities are driven by what are called social determinants of health, right? These aspects of life that affect, what you have access to, what you even know, what you understand, right? Your literacy, all of these things really affect your health outcomes. And so if about 60% of health disparities are driven by what are these social determinants of health, and which are ultimately quality of life metrics. So our goal as a company, one of my personal missions is to maximize human potential, help Black people realize their full potential. And we can only do that if we have access to the basic needs and environments and structures and support systems that will foster that. And so this is really about restoring or granting quality of life to Black people, so that we can become the best versions of ourselves. So the Black electronic health record is not only a platform that we're going to be measuring health of Black people through, but we're going to be measuring the progress of society in a sense, by the changes in the trends on this record. So I think in 5 years, that being completely established, I think also the business being stable. We have obviously 2 objectives here: to build a successful business and make a significant impact through the record. The business model is very simple. You download our app, first 30 days are free, and then you can subscribe for $39 for the month, or for 90 days, and then or $100 for the year. Now you're part of the Black electronic health record. And additionally, in 5 years, I want there to be so much value packed into this app that it's just a no-brainer to have it. It really becomes a tool for access. We call it your passport to health, right? Because we don't want people to just start obsessing over tracking their health, because that's not really what health is. We want to curate health promoting life experiences for people, meetups and challenges and discounts, these things that really bring value to people's life, and the indirect effect is that it's improving your health, but you just feel like you're living a different life.
Right. And the one thing I do see is that for the most part, our stories are not being researched, so changes can be made to also help progress our health. So I do see that, because data is key. Data is king. If no one is actually studying how our health is affected, they don't try to correct the outcome. So I do see that more doctors may look to their health systems to get that data. That could be also important.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can't improve what we aren't measuring.
Right.
Or I don't want to just feel like we got healthier as a community. I want to know that we did. Right. And I want to know what worked the best, right? There are tons of workshops and seminars and organizations throughout the country doing great work to improve health in the Black community, but we don't really know which ones are the most effective. And we don't have a universal tracking system, metric or measure to help to normalize or to understand which ones are the most effective, so that we can continue to invest in the ones that work and reallocate resources from the ones that don't, or modify the ones that aren't working to where they can be better. And yeah, we're just all operating kind of in these silos and doing these one-off experiences, and then there's no follow-up, right? Just like anything else, the results are in the follow-up. A person can go to a wellness meetup, a run club meetup or whatever, and they're excited for now like a couple weeks, and then then they fall back into their old habits. Well, now if they join the Black Electronic Health Record, they join Bear Health, download our app, well, we can see how many steps they're taking, and when they start to fall off, and we can send them a nudge or send them a reminder to go to this event. Right. Again, it's now we did, but or at minimum, now we can be more aware of what trajectory they're on for their health.
Yeah, it's so proactive and real time, which, I mean, the biggest thing, and I know I'm not a big going to a hospital guy. I mean, I go to the doctor regularly just so I won't go to the hospital. But the thing is, there are people out there, like you said, that just don't want to know. And so they will avoid going to get their, health tracked, or just the baseline numbers that they'll need to get healthier. And so this, I think, to me, will revolutionize how our communities interact with their own personal health. So I applaud you for the idea and just taking up the challenge to build it and everything like that. So for any, I guess, young people or even older people listening that have a bold idea like yours, but is scared to take the leap, what kind of advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I mean, you have nothing to lose. But at the end of the day, there really aren't many excuses that are legitimate. If you want something, to want something means to sacrifice everything to that end. And so maybe your job is not the best job you want, or that you could have, and maybe you feel like it's in the way of your ambition, but that belief is what's in the way of your ambition, not the reality of the job. And so worst case scenario, you end up where you are right now. Best case scenario, so you have nothing to lose. That's the first thing that I think is important for people to understand, so that they can then take action, because we're worried about not being successful. We're worried about what other people are going to think about us going after our dreams. And so just try things. And success is the byproduct of activity. Right? You don't end up successful unless you take a particular action. Right. It's the number one variable. So how do you set up your mind? How do you set up your life such that you can take the most action? And then after you get your mind right, the second thing would be to go and just try to solve problems for people. And just solve it however you can solve it. You don't necessarily have to have an idea or technology or anything like that. Just solve the problem for someone. And then you build, a system or a tool or an app or something like that around it. And then maybe you have a business. But first and foremost, go solve a problem for somebody. Good businesses they solve problems. They're not cool, and they're not just like cool ideas. Some cool ideas work. Some cool ideas work, and sometimes it comes to you and it seems like it's just a cool idea, and you put it out there and it like solves a real problem, like Facebook, for example. That filled some sort of hole for a lot of us.
Sure did. For a little while that anyway.
For
a little while.
It's created a much deeper hole.
Yeah.
Go solve a problem. You might
solve a problem. Yeah, I like that. So before I ask my final question, giving everybody the details of how they can get the app, and how they can, even if they may have a question that they would like to ask you, maybe they have not a similar app, but just app per se that they would like to build. How can they do that?
Yeah, so just go to the App Store or Google Play Store, search Bear Health, BEHR Health, click download, click sign up, log in with Bear. And once you create your account, you'll get a 30-day trial. And after that, it'll be $100 per year. And it's important that we are all a part of the Black Electronic Health Record, because the record's value is rooted in the representation that it has of the community. So if only people in New Orleans are on the app, then it's not really the Black Electronic Health Record. It's the New Orleans Electronic Health Record, right? Or it's the whatever city, we have significant population on the app. But so, you being on the app is more than just an opportunity for you to improve your personalized health, but it's a opportunity for you to become a part of something that's going to transform health for Black people. And your subscription obviously goes to maintaining technology and stuff like that as well, but also we use that capital to invest and solve more of the problems that exist in Black health or in Black communities. So it's both a tool or resource for you to get access to discounts at restaurants and juice shops and fitness stores and things like that, and access to our events and our experiences, but also to be a part of this living record of our progress and health.
And you said it's just $10 a month? Is that right?
It's $100 per year or $40 for 90 days. There are only two payment options.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just basically, that's just $1 a month. That's just one Chick-fil-A meal you got to give up.
Right.
That's great, Kwame. So I thank you for joining today, but I have one more question that I always like to end with my guests. It's always usually a surprise. But I know we're always, as men, we're working hard towards like solving problems or healing our communities. We don't necessarily think about ourselves and our place in the world. So my question is to you, how are you feeling right now as a Black man?
I mean, I'm particularly encouraged and empowered right now.
That's great.
I spent the past 3 years being pretty tunnel vision on getting my technology to where it is today, which is me being in complete control of it, it being my brand that I own, and creating. Now I'm in a position to just showcase my journey of becoming the best version of myself through the challenges I do, like the 2 million steps, or educating people in business or educating people in their health. And now I can point them to one simple way to support me if I've brought value to them. And that's by becoming a part of this record and downloading this app. So yeah, I feel like I have my system in place for bringing value to people, creating impact, and being rewarded in return. So this is what I've been working for the past 3 years. Mm-hmm. And I achieved it, and I achieved it without compromising in ways that sometimes people have to, or some of the ways that I may have anticipated. And I had doubts about my approach, but again, you don't have anything to lose. And so that was a prevailing thought along the journey. It's like, okay, sure, it might take a little longer than I originally envisioned, but it'll be more sustainable. And so you have to be patient too. I think that's another thing that early entrepreneurs and founders should understand. It's patient, but you got to outwork everybody.
Right. Well, if nothing else, Kwame, we have you're not only talking the talk, you're walking the walk, and we have 2 million steps to prove it. So I just thank you for being on today.
Yep.
Black Men Speak was written, produced, and edited by me, Keith Dent. You can find previous episodes wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If this is your first time discovering the show, or you're a Black Men Speak podcast fan, make sure you like and subscribe. We always like to end the show with a quote, and this one comes from Romani Malco, an actor who's best known for starring in Think Like a Man and Think Like a Man 2 and A Million Little Things. Pain is inevitable. It is actually a great opportunity for growth, but when we blame or fail to take responsibility for our suffering, the pain becomes stagnant, and stagnant pain can have a compounding effect if left unchecked. This is Keith Dent from the Black Men Speak podcast. Peace.
Life doesn't pause when you're sick. Vaccines against respiratory illnesses can help protect you and give you more playtime with your best friend. Depending on age and health status, vaccinations for flu, COVID-19, RSV, or pneumococcal infection may be recommended. Vaccines can help keep you from having a rough time. Learn more at cveep.org/vaccines-protect. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and CVEEP, fighting infectious respiratory disease.